It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, joining us now is Senator Ted Budd of North Carolina, the great state of North Carolina. I used to work in Charlotte, so I love, of course, North Carolina. Senator, you are fighting the good fight about the border and trying to raise the alarm bells about these ISIS-connected guys, these 8 guys from Tajikistan that came across the border. Luckily, they were busted, but they were already in the country. What do you know, and how concerned should Americans be?
Rita, John, thanks for having me on. Yeah, this is about exposing what happened, stopping it from ever happening again, and it should have never happened in the first place. These people were found because of a wiretap that found them asking about how to make bombs. And then they were given, federal authorities captured them later on, and then they gave them a court date of next year. And these are people that were found asking about how to make bombs from Tajikistan. We think they might have, ISIS-K type connections. That hasn't been proven yet. We're still looking, but this is unbelievable, the dangerous people that Joe Biden is letting into our southern border. And we got to expose
did
them.
they let him go, or did they deport him? What did they do?
Well, that's part of the questions I asked him. I asked him 8 different questions, 8 people, 8 questions. I said, who are they? Why did they come in the U.S. and what purpose? What were they at the port of entry, or were they in between? And, hey, were these the folks that claimed asylum? And if so, how was that asylum resolved? So the letter's out there. It's on my website, bud.senate.gov, if you want to look at the details. But we also asked, did these people possess weapons? Do they have explosives, other dangerous items that could be used to conduct a terrorist attack? I mean, this is horrible. And the problem with detaining them and capturing, glad we caught them, but they were inside the homeland, but they should have never been there in the homeland had they been stopped at the border like they should have been.
Absolutely. We're talking to North Carolina Senator Ted Budd. Judge Weinberg.
Senator, good to talk to you again. My concern, sir, is this. So they get these 8. How many thousands and thousands of thousands, because they open border policy, do we have to worry about? Is it 100,000? Is it a few 100,000? And what about all these able-bodied Chinese, about 30,000 of them coming in? What are we doing here?
Problem is not enough, and we can't wait until after the election. I mean, we have to – when you look at these people, we got 2 million known gotaways. We got 10 million illegal crossings, 340 encounters with individuals on the terrorist watch list. And the tragedy – I mean, first of all those numbers I just gave you are a tragedy waiting to happen, a terrorism activities waiting to happen. But 107,000 people we know that died last year from fentanyl-driven overdose. And that's when I talked – we got 100 counties here, North Carolina. I talked to sheriffs, law enforcement everywhere, and they see every single county in North Carolina is now a border county because of Joe Biden's policies.
Senator, I was talking to Tom Homan, former ICE director, just a couple hours ago, and he said something to me that was so stunning to me that under Joe Biden, those who have committed crimes, it's about 160,000 plus that have committed crimes, and that they technically cannot deport under the Biden policy unless you have been convicted of a crime, not just charged. So think about how long of a time that is. This is so dangerous for America.
Yeah, only the ones with really low IQs come back because they say, hey, come back, in a couple of years. Sometimes they have like 10-year waiting periods before there's even a court spot. These people aren't coming back. They're in our country. They're long gone. And sometimes, they've been human trafficked. There's horrible, tragic stories that go along with this. The women that get abused en route, about a third of the women have been raped, as I'm understanding, that come across our border that have been trafficked. This is horrific. And then the Democrats, when I go on the floor and I try to pass these bills to stop this by unanimous consent, because these things make sense, I would think that all 100 of us as senators would agree. But then somebody comes down, they block the bill, and they say, these people are good for our economy. They're just here for a better life. How much of a better life are we having when you have 107,000 people die from fentanyl, when you see the tragedies that come from this, when you see people coming across, you see 340 on the terrorist watch list, and you see people coming in that are asking about how to make bombs.
The 30,000 Chinese young people that came in really bothers me. They're like soldier types.
Military age?
Military age. Yeah, China, we're seeing them from Central Africa. We're seeing them from everywhere. Look, we got to differentiate, because we got to own the narrative here, because we are not against immigration, right? I mean, your city, much of your city was built on it. But I'm saying we want it legal. We want to control the numbers. We want to vote on it. We want to determine the policy, not just let people in here. And obviously we're seeing what happened. But 10 million illegal border crossings with how many criminals there? It brings drugs in. It brings human trafficking. This is awful what's happening to the people, not just the people that are here in the U.S., and the folks that are here legally. They came here legally immigrated. We're talking about the folks that have to get trafficked through the system, and it's absolutely horrible. It's a train wreck. I've been to the border multiple times, and the angel moms that have lost children from this, it'll break your heart.
It's really heartbreaking, especially, and it hits so close to home for us, Senator, because look at what happened with this horrible case of the 13-year-old girl. And some new details have come out. Thank goodness they caught the guy. He's an Ecuadorian guy who was in the country illegally. And it turned out just horrible details have come out today that he filmed the encounter. Luckily, he was busted. There was also the case that just happened recently of Rachel Morin. And that happened, of course, in Maryland. And Donald Trump, by the way, just recently called her mother. The mother said she's happy she heard from Trump and has not heard a thing from this White House, the current president. I think he should be calling the family, but he doesn't want to draw attention to what's going on in the border.
He loves these people. He feels like it's his own family. He's heartbroken by this. I've talked to him in person about it. President Trump wants this to never happen to another family. And look, he even talked, this happened in a neighborhood near Queens, right? Not too far from you all, from where he grew up. And he was talking about he used to ride his bike there, and now this happens just around the corner. And then you see somebody in Maryland. We know about Laken Riley, somebody that should have been detained but wasn't. I have the Laken Riley Act. If somebody that's here illegally commits a small crime, we need to make sure that they're detained so they don't escalate to a horrific tragedy like we saw with Laken Riley. I have the Police Act, which says if you're here illegally and you harm a police officer, you attack them or a first responder, you're out of here. You're deported. And I put this on the floor, unanimous consent. It would make sense. We should just pass this by voice vote. Here comes the Democrats down here objecting to it. So, folks,
is there any Senator, is there any common sense Democrats in the Senate that say enough is enough? We can't allow these people in. I mean, they can't be all dumb.
Well, the ones that are leaving. And so it becomes more and more radicalized. And so we got to wake up. It's easier to win as a Republican because how crazy the left is, but the consequences become more and more dire. And so I just hope folks that don't really care about politics, they're just trying to put food on the table, go to work, come home, enjoy their life. They don't focus on politics. I want them to watch and see what the Democrats are doing and everything that they do.
There's got to be some common sense Democrats, and I think they're scared of their leadership or whatever.
They are.
Senator Ted Budd, thank you for everything you do for our country and the state of North Carolina. God bless you and God bless North Carolina. Thank you.
God bless you all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Senator.
This is Greg Kelly for Priority Gold. What does it mean to be America's precious metals dealer? It means that you're in touch with the hearts and minds of those who love this country, value our freedom, and want to protect the future. Priority Gold is that precious metals dealer. They've helped thousands of Americans back their retirement with solid gold and silver. Call Priority Gold at 888-506-6439. Receive free shipping, free storage, a free investment guide, and one of the best purchase experiences in the industry. Call now or go to PriorityGold.com.